There's a fucking confession immediately.
Right.
We didn't even say, like, I don't know. Someone got shot. There's a guy. There's some blood. I heard a gun. These are normal 911
Right.
calls. Hey, how can I help you today with your emergency? Well, I just killed my dad. Probably want to send somebody over. Okay. Yeah, happy to do so. Is he? And then the next question is he dead? He goes, I don't think so. What?
Vibing and thriving. Vibing and thriving.
This episode of We Are New is brought to you by SLUTT, the only strip club and miniature golf course in Los Angeles. Go to slutputt.com and use keyword We Are New for 20% off your reservation this weekend or any weekend. That's SLUTT, the windmills, and you don't want to miss it.
Oh, good.
I'm not going to screen share it.
Hey, what's up?
You should wait until I'm done talking about something else before you because I can't when we're both going at the same time.
I think that was her point.
Right.
Hey.
Hello.
What's up, babe?
What's going on? Well, hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. You
How
look
are you
very.
doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good. You have very cute hair.
Thanks.
I love this. I'm a big fan. Do you call those space buns?
Yeah.
It's one of the best haircuts or hairstyles I think you can do.
Yeah.
It's so adorable. It's
Super easy too.
right? It's it's rare that you have a really good hair thing that's also lazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
agree.
Because usually when you're lazy, it's bad.
Right.
I had to do this, I wanted to wear a hat, but I'm like, that looks not as good.
Yeah. Your hair looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Kyle, how's your hair?
I love it.
Awesome.
I mean, I didn't really do anything with it today, other than shower, and I have headphones on.
Nice.
Nice.
Hold on, I can't even see myself. But I love it. I know you're not a fan of it, but I'm trying to grow it out.
I'm not hating, bro. Question.
I'm not saying that you're hating. I don't
Question.
think
Are
do that.
you rolling on your camera on the computer? Did you hit record on the QuickTime video?
No, I did not.
All right. So we're not seeing you at all.
We are now.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. Add that in there.
Yeah.
Hey, we're new.
Babe.
21 episodes in and we're still new.
We're still new. We will always
We
be
need
new.
to always be
We
new.
we did something really exciting this week.
Which is what?
I legally changed my name to Morris.
That's true.
Finally.
Yeah.
I've been telling everyone just my last name's Morris like the day after we got married. But now it's legally changed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, not only that, it was not an easy thing to do. It should have been really easy.
Well, the thing about that is you have to change your name with all these different organizations.
Yeah.
It's not, when you get your name changed, I don't think people realize you don't just go to the courthouse, fill out one form.
Right. Like in the movies.
Yeah, they make it
Yeah.
seem easy. Because, screen time in the films, you want to keep that
Right.
tight.
Like getting married.
Yeah,
like
it's not
spontaneously.
Exactly. And they don't mention the marriage license you have to apply for beforehand. You can't just run down there. But
Right.
yeah, so you have to change your social security name. You have to change it at the DMV. You have to change it on your passport. And this is all separate. You can't just go to one
Yeah.
place and have them do
It's
it
a
all.
runaround sitch.
But you found a solution to that.
Yeah, I found it on Instagram. It's called Newly Named. And so
Shout out Newly Named.
yes.
Thank
it comes
you.
in a little box and it comes with manila envelopes if you decide to mail, the documents.
Right.
So with the Social Security office, you're allowed to mail it in, but you have to mail your original marriage license, which made me really sketched out, and I didn't want to do that. And so we decided we're going to go in person. But I just, made excuses, just busy with school and internship and everything.
And then you were like, we're definitely going to go while you have a break from school, which you don't
Yeah.
get very many. And we only
Right.
had 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And we still didn't go during that time.
But we did it right after that.
Yeah, the next week, once you were back at school. And we were like, well, we burned our free time. going to Palm Desert and recharging the car for 2 weeks.
For 2
So now we can get some work done.
Yeah, but it was, it was supposed to be a very easy process, which it, like, for the most part was. But they ask you security questions, which makes total sense. And I wasn't accurately saying what was listed on their computer.
Right.
Which I was like really confused about because I'm confident of these answers I'm giving.
Well, we go to the Social Security office and we wait in line, and then we go upstairs, a little metal detector, and we go through security, and they're like, go all the way to the end, last window on the right. We go down there, and there's a seemingly at first sweet Asian lady, and we're like, she's gonna get where we're coming from over here, and she's gonna help out my Asian wife with her name change. I didn't realize. But my Asian wife is changing her name away from Asian to white. And so I think that, I can't say for sure.
It could be a factor.
But it could have been a factor of why we got a little bit of... So you're basically like, she's like, what city were you born in? And you answer Tarzana.
Right.
Which is your understanding of the hospital you were born in. Mm-hmm. But Tarzana is kind of like one of those, it's like Silver Lake. It's not a city. It's a neighborhood, it's an area.
Right.
Which, let's be clear, even though Silver Lake and Tarzana are not cities, some people who work in the government, they don't give a shit. They don't even look it up. I went, when I first moved here to get my driver's license, I lived in Silver Lake. I didn't even realize that wasn't my address. I thought my address was Silver Lake, California. And I went to the DMV. Yeah. I wrote down Silver Lake, California, and they just printed it on the license. They didn't look it up. They didn't say, actually, it's Los Angeles. Let me correct this. They're just like, hey, man, if you want to live in Silver Lake legally, have at it. So you're thinking Tarzana. We tell her that, and she's at the computer, and it's like we're taking a quiz.
Of my own life.
Yeah, and she's like, where were you born? You're like, Tarzana? She goes, no.
And then my heart's pounding. I'm like, what is listed on here? Because I've never had to answer these questions.
You start searching your memories. You realize you don't have any because you were a fucking baby. You were a newborn child.
No, but like when you're making passwords and you answer security questions, my whole life, anytime it's come up, I've put Tarzana.
Right.
And so when she was like, no, that's not listed, I was like, what? Like, I had a moment of like, have I been lied to? Like, what's happening? And then she's like, just name another city. And I was like, Los Angeles? Like,
which is a safe bet because like Silver Lake, the real answer was LA.
Yeah. And then she was like, no, that's not right.
So now you're like, what the fuck? What could it be?
So
Salt Lake City, Boston. Like, I just start guessing.
Okay, but here's the thing. She doesn't give me an answer. Right. And then she goes on to the next question, which is, what is your mother's maiden last name?
Easy answer. I knew this.
And I was like, Lee. And she's like, that's not right. And I was like, what?
Like, do you have the right person on your screen over here? Because like I'm looking at Stephanie Johnson over here, which you clearly are, and that's not right.
So she's looking at me like just so confident that I'm like full of shit,
right,
or something, and I'm like, this is my mother. Like I know what her last name was.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what's her first name? And I gave it to her, and she's like, okay, that's right. Then she asked me about my income from 2021. So she just keeps going. Like,
what does that have to do with Social Security?
Yeah, like she's asking me these questions where in the beginning I was like, okay, fair. But then once I answered it wrong, she just went on this like fucking tangent.
Which also income, and she was like, just an estimate. She was like, it doesn't even have to be right. And I was like, how come an estimate wasn't good enough on Tarzana?
I know. So anyway, the lady's like trying to, she's asking me questions. I'm getting them wrong, whatever. And then she's like, oh, my computer's crashing. Like, I can't help you.
Yeah, the software's not
So we're sitting
connecting.
there for like 20 minutes just doing this whole process. And then she ends up being like, oh, can you go down three doors down and, he'll help you out.
So we listened to that band for a little while.
And so we go to a different window. And he's this really nice guy, charming. He's white.
Your favorite.
And he was like, how can I help you? And you could tell he just clocked in because he was a little like disheveled. Like, what am I doing?
Disheveled's not accurate. He was very put together. You mean like disoriented? Like he looked great.
Yeah. But
disheveled usually means like someone's hair's fucked up, their clothes
disoriented.
are correct.
Okay, yeah.
That's
you're
okay.
right. And so he goes down the questions too. But I was like, he's like, what city were you born? I was like, Tarzana. And he's like, close enough. And I was like, what?
What are the policies in this office? And then
he asked me the second question, what's your mother's maiden last name? I said Lee, and he's like, that's not listed here, but he's smart and saw that it probably was an error because it said my dad's last name.
Right, which is your last name.
Which is my last name, which makes no sense that my mom's maiden name would be that.
Well, it would, because it's not like Koreans are super diverse in last names. There's only so many for the most part. It's like Lee, Park, Kim, like it wouldn't be crazy if your parents weren't related and yet still had the same last name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like two people named Smith.
Sure.
But to your point, he's using some intelligence and context clues.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think this newly married, because we had documentation.
Yeah.
Newly married woman is in here trying to take us for a fucking ride here. She's just trying to change her name.
Right.
And he goes, it's not what's listed, but I think I understand what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and print out the truth that's in our system and show you what's in the system.
And so he showed me that it was listed as Van Nuys, not Tarzana. But he didn't like think that was sketchy. He was just like, because it's close
right
enough.
there.
Right. And then I said, oh, that's wrong. It's supposed to be Lee, not Wang. But obviously I didn't fill this shit out. So
yeah, because you were an infant child.
So I don't know any better, but I'm telling the truth. And then he was very nice about it. You know, we got it done.
Long story boring. We accomplished it. And it turns out the white guy was far more supportive of her changing her name to Morris than the Asian lady who was like, how dare you betray us?
Right.
You know?
And we're convinced that like maybe he has an Asian wife.
Yeah, I'm almost certain
he's
of
newly
it.
married too.
Yeah. And he was like, we were talking about how we might be going to Hawaii in December. And he was like, looking at me, he was like, dude, you might want to just steer clear of Honolulu City. They don't like people like, you know what I mean? He was like, you should just stand close to your beautiful wife when you're there, just in case anyone gets confused.
But he's like, Oahu, Waikiki is great, Maui. You know?
He's giving us the hookup on every... He was getting distracted from doing our paperwork by being nice to us.
But we were cool about it because he was nice.
Correct.
And not trying to like play this game.
And helpful.
Ugh. Anyway, legally changed my name to Morris. We
At
did
the
it.
first office, we do have a few things to submit. We need to get driver's license, passport, all the other stuff. But the first step is Social Security, which I don't think I would have guessed that. I don't know what I would have guessed, but Social Security is step one. If you're changing
Before I
your
did
name.
the research, I definitely was convinced that you go to the courthouse and just you're able to do it.
Sign one thing, and then they call everybody, and they're like,
disperse.
Hey. Yeah, that's not insane.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't...
But why would they make it so easy for us?
No, of course not. Especially not in California. It's red tape and angry Asian ladies trying to keep us from being who we are in this life.
Yeah. Do you want to start the show, babe?
We should start the show.
Vibing and thriving, vibing and thriving, vibing and thriving, vibing and thriving. I'm excited now.
Fuck that. Suck that. Fuck that. Suck that. Fucking nuts. So, welcome to We Are New, a podcast in its 21st episode. Our podcast can legally drink now, which is great. Also, We Are New is expanding to not. This is a We Are New exclusive, folks. So for all 45 of you or whatever that are watching this episode, strap in, motherfuckers. It's about to get wild. It's about to get crazy. Not this episode. It's going to be normal. But the vibe overall is about to get a lot of fun because we are expanding. We've kind of talked about this before. not just to We Are New as a podcast, but We Are New Studios is going to be
Woo!
a new thing. This channel is now going to be host to a number of different shows. I don't want to go too deep into detail on that because you'll start seeing promos and things that will fill in the gaps. But I'm going to be basically helping to produce other shows that other people are putting together, and we're going to house them here on this channel. So the vibe across all these shows is that we are new. We're not perfect at this. We don't know what we're doing, but we're here to have fun, and we invite you to have fun with us, and that will be the culture that we try to cultivate
Yay.
on all of the different programs on We Are New Studios.
I'm so proud of you. That's so awesome.
That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, because I know you love to create, and I know that you love helping other people create, and so this is the perfect avenue for that.
There have been different ventures in my life that
Sure.
have worked out either, good for a while or bad for a while. I'm not referencing anything specific, but I mean, there's been some stuff.
You're just stretching
Yeah,
over there. You're
there's been
just kind of stretching
there's
out.
been some different things that I've tried to do in my fucking life to help other people. And sometimes that's worked and sometimes it hasn't worked. And I guess we can talk about that for a second because it is an important thing. I was just talking to one of my best friends, Wiley, who officiated our wedding. And we were kind of talking about how we came out of this school where really we were majors in acting and directing theater. That's what we were there to learn how to do. And if you were to go to any class that we took and sit in, you'd be like, wow, these people are theater majors. And yet, as soon as I graduated, I was like, I want to make television for two reasons. And this is very simple. I get asked this question from time to time, which is like, why go to theater school if you always wanted to do TV stuff?
Sure.
Because it's very simple. The background of it is like I grew up way more into TV than I was into theater just because of how much of it was accessible to me.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Texas. I didn't grow up in like New York City. I mean, I did live in New York City for a year in high school, but growing up, I didn't have access to a lot of theater. There was like community theater. There might be a few plays to see a year, a musical or two. And I didn't even get into that shit till I was a teenager. But it's America, goddammit. We grew up watching television. I was raised by parents who worked 60 plus hours a week. I was raised by the fucking TV. And so I was always passionate about it, but they don't really have a television major at a lot of colleges. You either go into like
broadcasting.
Yeah, there's a broadcasting thing, which is really, you end up studying a lot of journalism and how to like make the news and shit.
Yeah.
Then you have film schools, which are very focused on film, feature length filmmaking, which is not television. It's very different.
Yeah.
A lot of the same cameras and shit might be involved, but it's a totally different ball game. And I just wanted to make TV. And the two reasons I wanted to make TV and the two reasons that I really strayed from theater to do television was money. It is fucking hard as shit to make a living in the theater. It is, it's just not, the industry is not designed for people to support a family, to do anything other than maybe pay your bills. When I was graduating college, everyone was like, come do this assistant directing program, come do this internship, come do, typical stuff you would do after college. But all of it was like unpaid, or we'll give you $150 a week plus maybe a fucking twin bed in a college dorm to live in. Like, it was not appetizing.
Yeah.
And the first job I got out of school, long-term job, was at Comedy Central, and they were like, here's fucking health benefits and a decent salary and a starting position. I was like, I didn't even go to school for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a real job, And so that's the main reason, like security and money. It just felt like television was the right way to go. And then the other thing was, I wanted people to see it. When you do theater, you are begging, especially if you're not on Broadway, in the one city where theater gets attended to for real. Maybe you're in Chicago, maybe you're in LA, and there's a little bit of theater. But even when you do that, you're texting every fucking body you know, like, please come to the fucking show. Can I please just sell a few tickets to this? It's like doing stand-up. Getting people to come to a live show and having that be your work is stressful. And it's and then at the end of the day, you're lucky if 50 people saw what you did. Television, you're talking about fucking millions of people.
Right.
You travel the country and you run into people and they're like, oh, what do you do? And you're like, I work on this. And they're like, that's my fucking shit. That's my favorite show. Or I saw that. It was hilarious. Or it's so rewarding. You feel like you did it. So that's how I kind of got into it. And since I've been doing it, I've been I've had multiple times in my life when I've either found an institution or founded an institution where I wanted part of that to be like, let's supplement this thing that was missing from my life and let's have opportunity for people who want to make shows that everybody can see, especially now with YouTube. What's up? This is a democratized medium. You know, we can just make a TV show. I got fucking multiple cameras in here. We got microphones and we're making our own show that sure nobody watches now, but that can change in a day because of any, you know, if we have the right guest or, you know, we talk about a certain thing. And again, the whole idea of We Are New is we don't really care about that. We wouldn't be making this show still if we gave a fuck that nobody watches it. We make it because it's fun. And we want to provide that opportunity for other people who want to make stuff because it's fucking fun.
Yeah.
And it isn't about the money, but it is about the ability for people to watch it. Because once you do a play and then you close the play, it's that thing you did last year and you saw it or you didn't see it. And you just have to talk about it like a memory. And this gets to live on. You know, we could go on later and have people find this show and enjoy it after we've made it indefinitely. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you be a part of this. I'm excited to have Kyle involved in this. And it feels like the closest thing I've had since I was young to like community theater. We all set up the shit.
Yeah.
We all work to, you know, we cut the reels and we make your social media and all that.
I definitely, I grew up in that environment as well. And then when I went to college, it felt very much like everyone's fighting for themselves. Like it didn't feel like a community, like we're all on the same team. Let's all work together. It was very like competitive, and that's just not the environment I was raised in.
Right.
And so when I saw that like at a conservatory, I was like, I don't click with this and I don't like it.
Right.
And I will never forget when my voice teacher one day was like, do you want to be a diva? And I was like,
what is that word, before you even go further, what does that word mean to you, like, as a singer? Because that word doesn't mean the same thing in theater. In theater, a diva is an asshole. That's what literally, that's what it means. Like, ugh, they're being a diva. It means they're making it all about them.
Yeah, and that definitely is the concept. Like,
but it's a little bit more gratified in like opera. It's like it's part of it. You should be one.
Yeah, it's like you can't survive if you're not a diva because it's so competitive and you just have to think you're the greatest person to fit that role, you know? And I've never had the desire to be that. Be called that.
I just Googled the definition because I'm fascinated by this. There are, and it's literally the two things that we're talking about, right? There's two definitions. It's like, you know, so a lot of words have multiple definitions. This one has two. Diva, a famous female singer of popular music. There's nothing negative about that. Fucking Lady Gaga is a diva, right? By this definition. She's famous, she's female, she's a singer of popular music. That's what she does. No hate. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Second definition. A self-important person who is temperamental and difficult to please. Typically a woman.
Yeah.
So those can overlap. You could be both. You could be a famous female singer of popular music who is self-important, temperamental, and difficult to please. You could be both, but you can also be one or the other. You can just be an asshole.
Yeah.
Or you could be a singer. And so your teacher, your voice teacher was like, do you want to be, I'm assuming, the first one? Because who would want to be the second one on purpose?
Well, I think it's combination.
You have to be both.
Especially in the classical music field, because it is, unfortunately, a dying you know, it's like what you said with stand up and plays. Like you have to beg people, please come to this opera. It's 3 hours. It's not in your language.
I'd argue that's worse than the other two. Let's be honest. If you had to pick, if it was your job and you were like, I have to get people to attend a stand-up comedy show, a play, or an opera, I wouldn't take the opera booking job. That's hard to do. You got to be a fan of that.
Yeah, not only do you have to be a fan of it, but you have to enjoy that part of the craft is that it's probably not going to be in your language.
Right.
And you have to read really tiny super titles that are in English. But some people just want to like hear it.
Yeah.
You know, just see like what's going on the stage. And like, you know, we had our friend Jasmine on the podcast and she said how she went to an opera and it was really funny and just a great time. But unfortunately, most of the audience are older people and like they were annoyed that she was like laughing and enjoying herself.
Right.
Which
They're
is
like
ridiculous.
all up their own ass about what it is. It's like a difference between going to see a contemporary dance piece and going to see ballet.
Yeah.
That's to me the difference. Like, because you go see a contemporary piece, first of all, there's not a lot of hooping and hollering at dance. But you go to see a contemporary dance piece, contemporary modern, sorry, I don't get the words right, but you know what I mean? Like a less rigid performance. Ballet is like going to a classical concert. You don't clap.
Yeah.
You don't, and not until the right exact moment. Right. You know, it's like if you clap at the end of like when the song kind of, what do you call it musically when it like dips down all the way, but it's not over?
Like,
you know what I mean?
Like a decrescendo?
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
wow, Uncle Kyle.
Right?
Good for you.
There's no degree. See how what much we wasted our money learning this shit? And Kyle fucking comes in clutch. Stop paying for college, everybody. I don't care if it gets forgiven. Don't go.
Or just have a mom that was musically trained.
Right, that's true. That's also true. And I forget that about you. I take that for granted sometimes. But yeah, you know, sometimes that would happen to me when I would go see music or dance. Like it gets that decrescendo, it gets quiet, but it's not fucking over.
Yeah.
And so you go like, oh, you know, because the note picks up right after fucking exactly enough rest that you're like,
yeah. And then, but it's like, how silly is it that that's part of the mannerisms of like going to, you know, an orchestra concert with like they're playing a symphony,
right?
And you have to see on the program there's 5 movements and you're not supposed to clap until like the 3rd movement. Like there are all these rules, and it's like if you just want to go to enjoy the music, shouldn't you be able to clap whenever you feel like you should clap? Like
right.
It's so backwards, and I never understood that with this.
Yeah, but then you're ruining the experience for other people.
Right, of course.
But it's allegedly,
of
allegedly these are all art forms, right? It's supposed to be art. And the idea of telling someone how to engage with or enjoy art is so asinine to me.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know, like it's kind of like even in museums, like I think museums should be a fairly quiet place. You shouldn't be yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
But there are some museums where like if you talk, you feel like I shouldn't talk. They're going to come and people are shushing you like it's a library and shit. And you're like, I want to appreciate the painting. I want to talk to her about how it's
and
a cool
you pay
red
for
or something.
It
Yeah,
too.
sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone should tell you how to appreciate art or the right way to do it. And it's one of the reasons why some of these older art forms, opera, ballet, even the theater, especially classics like Shakespeare and stuff, they struggle to pay their artists, but even more so just to get attendance and to get the money. And then they have to charge outrageous ticket prices. Fucking, you can go see a movie for like, still it's like 20, maybe even $25 in a big city or something like that. But try to go see in a play for $25.
Yeah.
It's going to be, especially if you go to New York and you're trying to see a Broadway play, holy shit. Not even a musical, just a play where they have like one set where people walk around for a little while. It's like $100. And they wonder why they struggle to attract when half the time when you come and you don't behave the way they want you to, they're like, shh, could you fucking
right.
please?
And I think that's what kind of like turned me off to the classical music world, because I like structure, but I also like to do like I like to riff. I like to ad lib. Like that is not allowed in fucking classical music.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're like, it's like not shaming, offending the composers that have been dead for like hundreds of years.
I have that problem with theater too.
And I got to a point where I like felt so trapped. Like it's like if I don't sing these 12 notes listed here, then I have like disappointed the composer. And like I don't want to live that way. I want to like sing the way I want to sing.
Right.
And that's like pop music or jazz, like other genres other than classical. And so
which embrace a remix, which embrace a cover where you decide to do a run when there wasn't one or whatever.
So when I tell people like I have classical voice training, they're like, wow, that's so impressive. And it's like, yeah, it is, but it also like really limits yourself. And like now anytime I listen to music, I just technically think about it, which is upsetting because I've been out of it for like 6 years and I just want to
It's gotten a lot better.
It's gotten a lot better, but like that's what I'm working on still.
Right.
Like 6 years later.
I think that's one of the fun things that I love about like driving around with you. We listen to music and stuff and I'm always like changing the words and adding things and like kind of making fun of it. And even if you kind of play around or if you make a mistake in the music, I like give you a hard time about it, but it's part of my effort to like loosen you up and shake you loose from like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah. And that's why even with like trained singers in karaoke, there's like this weird thing where it's like karaoke is supposed to be fun.
Right.
Like you do karaoke because you're sometimes you're messed up and you're just having a good time with friends and just
people who literally cannot sing are allowed to do karaoke.
Yeah, and then it's like we as singers we have this like we have to sound great because everyone knows we sing and it's like I just wish people just let that go.
Right.
And like especially at our wedding because we had karaoke and it was so much fun. Like there were people who didn't sing because they were like, either they felt like they weren't able to because they like smoked or whatever. But it's like, I wish it like that didn't matter.
Right.
Like I wish it was, because I know they have beautiful voices and whatever they choose to sing, it's going to be great anyway. And so by hearing that excuse, I was like kind of bummed because I know they're great singers and I wish other people heard it.
Yeah.
And I also hadn't heard them sing in like years.
I feel like one of the reasons I love karaoke is because I personally have the best middle ground situation. I have been taking voice lessons and singing since I was 15.
Yeah.
Not consistently, but many times. It's been a while now. I probably haven't done it in like 5 or 6 years. But I've never been a great singer. I've always been like, I have pitch, I can hit the note as pretty close.
Yeah.
I don't know how to harmonize. I can't sight read. I don't know keys. I don't know any of that shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm in this perfect middle ground where I'm not like, oh my God, I can't listen to him sing anymore because he's so off key or out of pitch or whatever. And you're like, dude, just quit. But I'm also not like, I wouldn't know how to do it right if I fucking tried.
Yeah.
I can't. So I just have fun.
Yeah. And I love that. I wish I was there.
We're going to bring you down, hun. I will bring you down to us.
Yeah.
And you'll slum it with us. And it's much better down here.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember like, because I started voice lessons at like 12 years old, I just remember when I was in choir, I would laugh if like my friend was tone deaf and we're in choir together and I'm standing next to them and they're not hitting one note correctly. And that's like piercing to my ear because I'm trained.
But that's
like,
piercing to everybody.
Sure, but it got to a point where I would start laughing and I like didn't know how to control it. It wasn't to make fun of her at all, but I literally could not handle it.
You just literally have like an emotional reaction.
Yeah. And my teacher would be like, Candace, like, and I was like embarrassed because I don't want to laugh in this moment, but I also didn't know what else to do. Like it just came out naturally. So I had to work on that.
There is a sketch on, and I don't have it like queued up in the right place, so I won't play it, and it'll probably get us taken down. I'll play it for you later. And and I'll maybe I'll put the thumbnail up or something for real so that people can check this out. There was a sketch on SNL.
Okay.
And the title of the video is Classy, Sexy Elegance. And it's Kristen Wiig and Aidy Bryant and Cecily, was it Tyson? Cecily Strong. Cecily Tyson's the old black lady. Cecily Strong. They're doing like almost like a Housewives style singing group where they're supposed to be like these rich housewives. And they start like doing the groove and it's fine. And then they start trying to harmonize together.
Oh no.
And it's like, it's so funny because it's way off pitch and it's like creates this dissonant tone that's impossible to listen to. But I bring this up because it is literally it's in our instincts to find it almost humorous to hear three people trying to sing correctly and creating a dissonant sound that doesn't fit the way we think it should. And you shouldn't be too hard on yourself for laughing at that because it is funny. It is objectively funny.
Yeah. I just didn't know what else to do. I was like...
That is your go-to response when you're not sure how to behave. You start laughing.
Yeah, that's true. Ever since I was a kid.
But I'm saying, even in this context, it's objectively funny to hear people be like, all right, are we ready? I'm taking this fully seriously. All right. Brandy, you're a fine girl. And you're like, what the fuck?
But,
like,
okay, that was in middle school.
Right.
But in elementary school, we had a choir class as well. And the whole class had the opportunity to audition for like, not the Star Spangled Banner, but some patriotic song where you had a solo. Okay. Right. And anyone was allowed to do it, whether you were good at singing or not. And we all had to sit in the classroom listening to these auditions. Yo, it was so difficult for me to sit there. Like, oh man, it was tough.
Well, and the Star Spangled Banner almost feels like it was written to point out people that can't sing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The way it's like, it's kind of here, and then all of a sudden we're going up. And if you can't go, we're gonna know. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it really was written like, it's John Philip Sousa, right? Is he Star Spangled Banner?
No.
Which
I think
one?
It's Keys.
Francis Scott Key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think you're right. Those are the two guys who wrote all the patriotic shit.
Yeah.
It's like he wrote it being like, I'm gonna point out to everybody in the group because it's a song that everyone's supposed to know. Mm-hmm. Everyone's supposed to sing. We're at the baseball game. We're all doing it, right? And then when it gets there, and you're just like da 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 da, and we all can do that. Like pretty much anybody, even if you can't sing, you can do the beginning. But da 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 da, it starts getting up there, and when it gets to the end, and then it's like sustain
like blaring,
on these oh my god, it's hilarious. It really is like a great test just to be like, can you sing? Why don't you sing the song everyone is supposed to know?
Right.
Happy Birthday's not like that. Everybody can do fucking Happy Birthday. It's right in the middle.
Right.
Everybody can do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've had Happy Birthday used as like a baseline in a few different, not classes, but in situations where they're like trying to gauge if you can sing or not.
Yeah, Happy Birthday is like the most basic. Like if you can't do Happy Birthday, you're tone deaf. And it's like, that's fine. It's okay to be tone deaf. But Star Spangled Banner is a test. Not everyone can sing that fucking song all the way through at the end.
Yeah.
That's why most of us just take our hats off and wait.
Oh, another moment I remember before we move on, because we've been talking about this for a long time.
That's okay.
But there are two family members that are tone deaf in my family.
Okay.
And when we would go to church...
And they're both your uncle.
No. And when we would go to church, whenever I had like someone who didn't go to our church regularly, like a guest from my family, just show up for a holiday or whatever, we would all go to the adult service. And even when I was a kid. And so I would have to sit with these people and like hear them sing the hymns and like, man, in that setting, hearing, like they're like very passionate about it, but they're tone deaf. When the songs are really easy, like hymns are so easy to sing if you can like hit the note.
They're pretty boring right down the middle.
Yeah, and I have to just listen to it like,
Yeet.
I can't burst out laughing in this moment. That's very
Right.
inappropriate, but
Well, and you don't want to limit people's joy either, because one of the reasons why a lot of people are tone deaf, or the reasons why they don't learn how to sing at all, is because when they were young, they tried, it wasn't great, and someone was like, you have to stop.
right.
And that was a problem in my house with my sister. My sister would be up, getting out of the shower,
Yeah.
doing the blow dryer and getting ready,
Yeah.
and she'd be up singing some, whatever at the time, New Kids on the Block or whatever shit. And we'd all be like, you have to stop. I'm sorry, and I know you're having a good time, and I don't want to ruin your day. You have to stop doing that. And I didn't want to participate, and it wasn't about mocking. It was like, it's like kind of, we were talking last night about how I can't handle the smell of ramen. I'm like, I'm not personally offended, and I don't want to ruin your meal, but I have to go.
Yeah.
I have to leave this.
Right.
Oof. This episode of We Are New is brought to you by Panamanian anal beads. These are anal beads. They're not from Panama, but who doesn't love to say Panamanian anal beads? These are anal beads that are, I think they make them in New Jersey, but they say Panamanian anal beads on them. So who doesn't want to get some of those? You know what I mean? Panamanian it's hard to say. I can't, but it's brought to you by them. The show is. All right, moving on. You want to talk about all the documentaries? We've been on a documentary binge. We watched 3 of them in 1 week. And we're not huge documentary people. We've seen the really big ones when they make news. We watch our Tiger King. We watch our Making a Murderer and shit. But for whatever reason, I'm sure it was my fault, because I think you came home on Monday and I was already watching one. And I was like, you want to finish watching it with me?
I was
and you're
like,
like,
what
sure.
are you watching?
And then we watched that one, and then boom, we're in the mood. So we kept going.
They were like limited series. So like
Short.
3 episodes max.
Yeah, like 3 hours basically.
Yeah.
And we just kind of got in the mood, so we kept going through, like, we want more of this shit.
Yeah.
So we started with, and these are all hits right now, too. These aren't, like, deep dive, like, I found the weirdest shit. This is, like, legit Netflix.
They came out recently.
Yeah, they're Netflix hits right now. So first we watched I Just Killed My Dad.
Yeah.
First of all, great fucking title. Like, you don't have to start guessing about, I wonder what the other two, you're like, I wonder what this is about.
Right.
Like, and in contrast, the other 2 we watched, we'll talk about in a second, is The Girlfriend That Doesn't Exist or Didn't Exist, and then The Most Hated Man on the Internet. Both intriguing titles, but you're like, I wonder, what do you mean his girlfriend didn't exist? Is she a ghost? And then you're like, what do you mean? He's who's the most hated man on the internet? Is this about Andrew Tate already? Like, you're like, I don't know. I Just Killed My Dad. Take a fucking guess. I tell you what, yeah, you're right. It's about that. It's exactly about that. It's about a guy who killed his dad. And it is a great documentary. It is also interesting. All 3 of these stories are at different times, but it's always interesting to me, how long after a story do they make the documentary?
Sure.
Because the second 2 that I just mentioned, the one that's about MANTI TE'O, the football player, the girlfriend who didn't exist, and the one about Hunter Moore and RUup.com, which is the most hated man on the internet. Those stories are both like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And they're making these documentaries like way after the fact.
Right.
The other one, I Just Killed My Dad, it just happened. Like in the world of stuff, because you gotta let shit play out before you make a documentary about it. It just happened in like 2019, like right before the pandemic. And what a story that was, with a great twist.
Yes.
Yes. Lay it out a little bit. Of course, we don't want to spoil it, but it starts with the phone call that inspires the title. 911 emergency response. What's your emergency? I just killed my dad. What? Who calls it in like that? That's crazy.
That's the part I missed.
There's a fucking confession immediately.
Right.
We didn't even say, like, I don't know. Someone got shot. There's a guy. There's some blood. I heard a gun. These are normal 911 calls. hey, how can I help you today with your emergency? Well, I just killed my dad. Probably want to send somebody over. Okay. Yeah, happy to do so. Is he? And then the next question is he dead? He goes, I don't think so. What? Crazy story. It's really told in three. It's another one of the 3-episode limited series. It's told in 3 acts that are really well put together. First act is kid calls 911, says, I just shot my dad. They pick him up. They bring him in. And they're like, so what happened? And they're like, well, I shot him. And now he's dead. Like, okay.
Like, and no remorse.
Yeah, and he's very even. This kid is the best example I can make is it reminded me a lot of the kid in Making a Murderer. The Brendan.
Yeah.
It's a little different because that kid was like nervous. But he was very like, I don't know, I think maybe we killed her. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's very like, they're like, something's up with this kid. He's a little slow. There's something missing. It's very intriguing because you're like, he just seems very level about the fact that he's like, I killed him. They're like, was he attacking you? And he's like, no. I mean, I thought he would.
Yeah.
And he was angry, but he wasn't like swinging at me, And you kind of are like, how is this 3 episodes?
Right.
You're like, isn't this open and shut case?
Yeah.
Guy shot his dad. Dad's dead. You're going to go to jail. Next.
Yeah.
Not so simple. And of course, that's why it's a documentary. The end of the first episode has this huge twist to where you're like, because you start finding out some weird things about the kid. You're like, the kid, his name's Austin. The kid had like, they ask him in the interrogation, we're like, you killed your dad? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, what's your address? And he's like, fuck, I don't know. They're like, what? The kid's like 17.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean you don't know your address? He's like, I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 something.
Yeah.
What? Like he gives them a number but he's like, I'm not sure. And they're like, what's your birthday? Right. And he's like, it's September 10th or whatever, either 2001 or 2002. He's like not sure of the year he was born. And they're like, where do you go to school? And he's like, I've been homeschooled. He's like, okay, well, you're homeschooled. What do you have a grade number? Like where are you at? And he's like, I don't know.
Just a lot of question marks.
Yeah. And then you basically come to find out that this kid has never gone to school. And even his homeschool was bullshit. He was never good. Like when you homeschool a kid, and this is something we talked about during the documentary, when you homeschool a kid, it's the law you have to educate children. Right. Like it didn't used to be, but now it's the law. If you're like, I just don't want my kid to go to school, not okay. You can't just keep a kid home and no public school, no homeschool, no nothing. We'll keep him in the shed. You can't do that. That's what they did with this kid. They're just like, they had kept him a mystery.
Yeah.
And part of why they don't send him to school is because the situation that he's in with his dad is, we'll put it this way, off the books. They kept it off the books.
Yeah.
And this dad, who is his dad, managed to keep his kid a mystery. And they interview people in the neighborhood and they're like, what do you know about this family? And they're like nothing.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever seen the kid. There's a kid there? And they're like, maybe I've seen the kid once. I think, I don't know. I don't know anything about him.
It's so good. Check
out that one. I Just Killed My Dad is great.
Uncle Kyle, have you seen that one yet?
Weird sentence.
No, but it's funny because as you were explaining that, it sounds really familiar. And I don't know if that's because maybe I saw the headline when it happened.
All 3 of these were national news stories that we missed.
The other 2 are definitely situations that I knew about when they were happening. This one is like, it's sounding super familiar to me. And I don't know, maybe I saw the trailer for this at one point.
It's worth watching. And like I said, the first episode, it's a little slow to get going because for so much of the first episode, which is only like about an hour, you're like, why are we still talking about this? Like, book him.
I've seen that in like as I don't know if it's just a format that they use as a way to kind of hook you, but like I've seen that a couple times in a few different documentaries where it's like it's like we're an hour in and you've pretty much told me everything. Like, how are we going to stretch this out?
There has to be a twist of some kind.
And sometimes that works really well, and I'm very excited about this. And then the other times, it's like no, it definitely could have just been one episode, and you just decided to stretch it.
The second documentary we watched was
Holy shit.
in a series, a new series called Untold, where they're going to do several documentaries. A few of them I think are already out. But easily the most popular right now is the story
people are talking
of
about it for sure.
MANTI TE'O, the linebacker, who played for Notre Dame and then for the San Diego Chargers. I'm not a sports guy. You're not a sports girl. We were in college when this happened. Like, ironically, we're the same age as this dude because we were in college when it was happening, just like he was. And not aware of it. It just went full, and it was on CNN, ESPN, New York Times. It was a national story, but it also wasn't quite in the age of social media the way it is now.
Right.
So it wasn't like when a national story happens, we all fucking know about it instantly, which I think we take for granted. It hasn't been that fucking long that's been how the world works.
Yeah.
Now when something happens
like 10
big,
years.
15 years ago, there could be a national news story you didn't even fucking know about.
Right.
Anyway, this is like the OG catfish story. That's what this is. Linebacker who is from Hawaii. He's from a Mormon family. It can't be said enough. MANTI TE'O is his name, is a fucking great dude by all assumptions and everything we can know about him. He is just a good fucking guy.
Yeah.
He ends up falling in love and internet dating a girl on like via Facebook and some other channels he never meets. And it turns out to be, at the time, a guy who's a transgender woman now. Always was. I'm trying my best here, folks, to say the right things. But as much as I respect her identity as a transgender woman, I have otherwise no respect for this woman at all.
Sure.
Because when you watch this documentary, and I was furious as I was watching it, because you find out, obviously, this woman who identified as a man at the time was catfishing this sweet boy and putting him through all this hell, where not only did she catfish him and pretend to be the girl, she pretended to be the brother of the girl. She pretended to put this fictional girl that he was dating into a car wreck, give her leukemia, and then she fucking died. And the reason she chose to kill the girlfriend, this character she'd made up, was because his grandmother had died and he was being distant that day and like not texting her back.
Right.
So she was like, guess what? Your girlfriend's dead now because you didn't text me back, basically. This becomes a national news story because he dedicates the season and this big football game to his dead girlfriend and grandmother, and then it comes out late, and then everyone covers it as it's legit because ESPN, New York Times, all these people, they don't do any fucking research,
right?
And they don't dig at all to find out anything about the dead girlfriend. They just go, "Wow, his dead girlfriend, crazy."
Yeah,
these journalists. So Deadspin, of all publications, ends up uncovering the fact that this chick's not real. And it becomes this national story. Like, was he gay? Was he covering up being gay by making up a fake girlfriend? Was he in on the hoax?
Right.
All this stuff, none of which is true. He knew about nothing. He was fully just catfished and taken advantage of. And the thing that gets me, even as I think about it now, the reason I'm so heated, way more than I was with the last one we just talked about, you watch this woman, the catfish, have like kind of almost no remorse as she tells the story. Most of what she comments on is like, I was in a really tough place.
Yeah.
And then this happened and it really hurt me.
Yeah.
And a couple of times she's like, I felt kind of guilty. Kind of guilty? And then at the end,
it's like the Tinder swindler.
And then by the end of the documentary, frankly, and I'm not blaming the documentarians, but like by the end of it, they're kind of celebrating the fact that she came out as trans, and that transitions, sorry for the word, but the show transitions into being like, I went through a really hard time with all this too. And so but now I went off to an island and met a bunch of trans people, and now I'm celebrating being a woman, and I'm better. And I'm like, you should be in fucking jail. I don't care if you discovered yourself or figured it out. I want anybody who's trans to find themselves and find their path, and that's great. I don't want you to be a piece of shit. And your journey towards that, including ruining other people's lives.
Yeah.
And it did. It fucked him up as a footballer, as a person. His family blamed him at first for being full of shit. It ruined his life for a long time. Even when he went on to play for the Chargers, he couldn't get his head straight. People wouldn't stop giving him a hard time about this hoax thing.
Yeah.
And then we're all supposed to be like, good for you. You found out you're a woman. I don't give a fuck. If you're a man, a woman, gay, straight, you're an asshole. That's what happened. And you didn't sit down with this documentary crew, and maybe you did and they cut it out, then fuck them. But you didn't sit down and go, I fucked up so bad.
Yeah.
And I ruined this guy's life.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing I want everyone at home to take away from this is I'm the asshole and I'm sorry. That should have been the position, and it wasn't. It was a lot of like, I was dealing with a lot of stress. I was having a lot of problems. I'm like,
I just remember the first line of when this trans woman, started in this docuseries. The producer was like, "Are you ready?" And she was like, "Yeah, I guess. Like, let's go." And
it's so cold.
And
it's colder than the guy who killed his dad.
That was the entrance of like this person's story.
Right.
And like, I totally agree with you, babe. Like the way it ended was kind of shocking from like that perspective.
It was very much a celebration of their transition and not enough condemnation about fuck this chick. You could be a girl. That's fine. I'm cool with you being a lady. Be a lady. You are a lady. You want to be a lady.
But
all of
the
that.
actions, the trauma that this person gave to Manti and the family and
caused
everything.
So many people. And, I'm not a huge, like, let's protect the franchises, but you fucked Notre Dame. You fucked the Chargers. You've like these people.
The Heisman.
Yeah, the Heisman Trophy was tainted. All of this stuff that I didn't even care about. But the fact that it seems almost sociopathic, the level of like, I don't know. I was dealing with a lot. And I was like, I don't care what you were dealing with. The fact that you did shitty things, we all do shitty things. The fact that you had your own trauma that led to you doing the shitty thing, I'm sympathetic to that.
Right.
But where's your remorse? Where's your like, I hope more than anything, like fuck my life and my happiness. I hope the family's good.
Yeah.
I hope Manti knows I'm fucking sorry. And I live with the regret every fucking day. And I'm not going to say that she never mentioned that at all, but it was like a quick drop in the bucket in comparison to how she was like about herself. And every moment and every terrible choice was like, well, he wasn't texting me back or whatever. Like,
you are heated for sure.
I'm heated right now.
Yeah. And one thing I will say, obviously no spoilers, but with all the trauma that this poor guy is going through.
He's still a good dude.
Still a great dude. He gets to a point where he's like, I need professional help. And I remember watching the last episode and I'm like, babe, this dude needs therapy. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but so much shit has happened to this guy. And I know he comes from a very conservative religious background.
Right.
Where they like do not believe in therapy. And
Asian. Both Asian and Mormon, which is a tough combo of like not seeking out mental help.
And so when he revealed, like, he told the team, like, I need professional help and like got therapy, I was like emotional because I was like, fuck
Thank God.
Like, good for him, like he didn't have to take that path and he chose to. And, thank goodness from like what I've seen recently, like he's doing really well.
And now with the documentary, everybody's on his side.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's like, I hope this chick gets therapy because the fact that she's transitioned is great for her. If that's who she is, fucking awesome. And I support the fuck out of that. But transition into some fucking remorse. Transition into like, and I'm not saying beat yourself up. And maybe that's all going on inside and it's not being shared because she's still not there, whatever. But the fact that at the end of the day, you watch this documentary and I felt no sympathy for her. Zero. Because I was like, I'm not feeling you admitting that you ruined these people's lives.
And I think she's going to get backlash.
100%. And that sucks because it's like,
they don't want that on anyone.
Yeah, and the trans community doesn't want mascots like that out there being like, is this what trans people do when they're confused about their sexuality?
Right.
They start pretending to be a chick on the internet and catfishing people.
Very much celebrated like her journey.
And her coming out and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, that's another episode.
Separate things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's do a whole separate movie.
Focus on that.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh my goodness. All right. I want to end with you said you have a dialect thing, Kyle, that you want to do with us, like a game of some kind?
So I was reviewing episode 20.
He's a super fan of our show now.
Hell yeah,
I've been
baby.
studying. But yeah, I was watching it and I noticed something and I'll get into why I noticed it because now I have to remember exactly. Rob, you were saying, you guys were talking about going through the mountains and you were trying to get where you were through the desert and you kept saying mountain.
Right.
And Candace, and I only noticed because it was like a couple of times and you very specifically it's like a hard T. like you pronounced it so you mountain.
She's mountain, I'm mountain.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and add on just because of this one word before we get there. I used to date a girl from New Jersey, and she said it even a third way.
Ooh.
So mountain. That was how Katie said it. She would say the mountain.
I have heard mountain before.
Wow.
Yeah, just completely getting rid of everything in the middle.
No T, and then just mountain. There's like a space there.
Okay. I mean,
subtle.
I have a quick story about that if we have time.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. We got
So in college, I had a diction coach. I had my voice teacher.
Glad you said shun. Keep going.
What?
It's a dick joke.
Oh, got it. And he was great. He was very much like the person, if I'm saying the German word wrong, he'll correct me. If I say an English word incorrectly, he'll correct me. Like, he very much knew I come from the Valley and wanted to correct the way I speak English, basically.
And German and French and Italian.
Yeah. And so a lot of English songs have the word stream or like ST words. And I did not know I did this, but I would say stream, like SH.
Got it. Stream.
Yeah.
Stream.
Fuck,
which one do I do?
And so ever since he told me that, I think about it anytime there's a word that's ST. And now even when I watch TV shows, like I've mentioned it to you on Friends, Courtney Cox does that too, the same way I used to do it. And I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it was a Valley Girl thing or I just didn't realize I was doing it and no one had corrected me until I went to the conservatory.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that all three of our versions of mountain, all three of them are right.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't believe, and that's why we're about to get into it with Kyle, I'm sure, is about, it's a regional thing. There really is no wrong way to say it. I don't really believe in that, like, you're saying it wrong, let's change it.
Sure, but stream and stream, like you're adding.
So what?
You're adding a letter that doesn't belong there.
Whatever.
But it just depends on where you're from and kind of
as long as you have
the way that
streams where you live, you can say it however you want. Because we were talking about this the other day. I don't understand, and I'm guilty of this, and I still fuck it up sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the pronunciation zebra exists because there are no
Zebra.
there are no zebras ever. There are zebras, and the people who live around zebras call them zebras.
Yeah.
And then one day English people are like, oh, zebra. Why would you change it? Especially when you have no zebras to comment on. If the people who discovered it call it a zebra, who are you to fucking change it to something else? But you have streams, and I got streams, and everybody's cool. It's fine. As long as you have one ownership. It's like if I go, hey, my name's Rob, and I spell it R-O-B, and someone else is like, I spell my name R-O-B too, but I pronounce it Tom. I'm like, all right, it's fucking weird, but you know, that's your thing. It's your name.
Yeah.
Maybe I played John Proctor in the Crucible too long. I don't know. How's this game work, Kyle?
Oh, it's not really a game. It's just a quiz because I'm just curious.
We're going to see how we say it.
If we can,
Oh,
and
fun.
and I'm bringing this up too because it's been pointed out to me a lot. So I thought I like the chance to flip the script a little bit.
Yeah, because we give you a hard
Nice.
time about both.
Both and
L in it.
and pillow.
Milk.
I don't talk about milk ever. So, you know, if I don't say it often, it's just going to come out however it comes out.
Often.
Yeah. Often. See, that's the thing.
Right,
There's
right.
so many.
When I started
studying
studying dialects in college, which I took a whole class for a whole year on dialects,
Yeah.
and honestly, especially because people hear my voice and they're like, where the fuck are you from?
Right.
Because I shift all over the place, and I'll hear a way that someone else says a word, and I'm like, I like that better. That's how I say that now.
I love that.
I grew up orange, and I don't want some of these to come up. I hope they don't. I haven't looked really at the quiz yet, but I used to say orange, almost one syllable. There was a guy when I was in college who was from New Jersey who said orange, not
So you just-
orange,
yeah.
orange, and I was like, orange. That's how I say it now. I like that
Orange,
better.
You glad you learned it?
Yeah. And that works better. That whole thing works better if you say it his way. Orange you
Yeah.
glad. That's not how that goes.
Oh
you
my
have to be
gosh.
orange you
Yeah.
glad.
I'm almost
in
wondering.
January.
I'm almost wondering if it's better for me to just
January.
read it out for you, and I'll fill out the quiz because if you see the multiple choice answers, it might
Right.
like. So I want your instinct
Okay.
first.
All right. Well, are we gonna
So,
do it one at a time?
I did send it to you, but I'm just gonna read them, and then you guys both give me your answers. I'll have two.
Okay.
I'll just fill it out twice, and then we'll see what we get.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So the first one is, what do you call the shoes that you wear to work out? It
Who's
gives
going
multiple
first?
choices, but I want to hear from both of you. Like, what are your?
Are you gonna have like two tabs open?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If what you say isn't on here, then I'll give you the choices. But
Okay.
give me your first instinct.
Ask the question again.
So, what do you call
I'll
the?
go first. You go second.
Great. What do you call the shoes that you wear to work out?
Tennis shoes.
Instinct. What's your first thought?
Trainers.
What?
Trainers. Interesting.
What are you, fucking British?
Maybe Ted Lasso's in my head.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's no fucking way that's what you call it.
Okay.
Really?
From
Tennis shoes? I wouldn't. Sneakers?
That sounds right.
sneakers. You sounded more confident with sneakers. We'll go with
Yeah.
sneakers.
Sneakers.
There's no fucking way you call it trainers.
Okay. How do you pronounce, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to influence, the stuff that you put on pancakes or waffles? How do you pronounce that?
Syrup.
Syrup.
Interesting. Those were the two options.
Sir and sear.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly. What do you call a delicious carbonated beverage? There's a few different options for this.
Soda.
Right away. Love it.
Soda.
Okay.
I don't call it pop because I'm not from fucking Minnesota.
You want some sody pop? That thing that spurts out water for you to drink. Like you'd find it in a park.
Oh, water fountain.
Okay.
Spout.
Yeah, but what do you call the thing? Like at school in the hallway?
Oh.
Yeah.
Fountain.
Okay. Would you call it a water fountain or a drinking fountain?
Water fountain.
Okay.
Water fountain. Yeah, both.
Great. When you order in food, what is it called?
Delivery?
Takeout.
Yeah, so I guess it'd be like if you order in food and then you go to get it.
Takeout, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Take out or carry out. So we'll go with...
Oh, no. I would never call it carry out.
Okay, great. Take
I
out
might
it
need
is.
the option on some of these.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
if
totally
it's,
understand the
if,
question.
yeah, exactly. If it's,
Okay, yeah,
we'll see it.
takeout.
So, okay, you buy these dried, usually at Trader Joe's, and you call them, there's no way for me to, it's an apricot or apricot?
Apricot.
Apricot.
Great.
Apricot sounds very English to me.
Yeah,
I've never said that.
I think I've always said apricot too. Yeah.
You can spell it if it's a word and you don't want us to get ahead of how you say it.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah,
Like
we can
you
do
can
that.
spell the word and say it. Like, how would you pronounce this word?
Okay, this is funny. So I'm just gonna say it. You
see.
can't arrest me. I'm calling my blank.
Lawyer.
Ooh. Okay. Great. Candace.
Parents.
No. It is what Rob said, but how do you pronounce it? You call me-
Or do you say attorney? Or do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Lawyer.
Okay, great. The options there were lawyer or lawyer.
That's how my dad says it.
Yeah.
I knew what you were
Lawyer?
getting to.
It's probably like a
like
southern
saying the
thing,
word
yeah.
law.
Yeah.
Lawyer, yeah.
Lawyer.
Oh.
My dad says you have to hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I'm
That
like,
hits really weird in my ear.
lawyer. Loy is how I pronounce it.
Okay, so this one's a little bit more expanded, so I'll just go over all of it. It's something you might have heard on the road growing up. That big rig on the freeway is blocking traffic. If you've heard it or it sounds familiar to you, say yes. Or there's an 18-wheeler parked near the beer barn. That truck accident is causing some rubbernecking. That semi is causing gapers block on the highway.
No clue what you're saying.
The only one familiar to me is rubbernecking.
Never heard that.
Hold on. That bit, I'm looking
If
at it now.
I was gonna say you have it there. You can just look it up. This one's very specific.
Well, and it seems to be covering two different things.
Two words.
I think
'cause
what we're
there's,
really
like-
getting to is what do you call the truck? Okay, so let me put it to this way. And my answer is 18-wheeler.
Okay.
You're merging onto the highway and a giant vehicle that is carrying a trailer on the back almost runs you off the road. Oh my God, I almost got run off the road by
Oh.
a big rig, an 18-wheeler, a truck, or a semi.
Truck. A truck.
You'd call it a truck. I would
Yeah.
call it an 18-wheeler. They added too much context.
Yeah,
Because it seems like it's about rubbernecking or gaping or whatever, which also sounds gross.
Bro.
Okay, what did you say, Candace?
She's saying truck,
Truck.
which
Truck.
is also the rubbernecking thing, which
Yeah.
she would never say.
Yeah. Okay. The circle things that you drive around to that, it's like replacing streetlights. What do you call
Roundabout.
that?
Roundabout.
Great. A traffic circle.
No.
Okay. There's only a few more. What do you call paper that you're about to toss? No, I'm just going to tell you. It's either scratch paper or scrap paper. What would you call it?
Oh, scrap.
Scrap paper.
Scratch paper.
You would call it scratch. Okay.
Yeah.
Running while it's sunny out is I'd never really heard this one before, so I'm just going to tell you. You would either call it a sun shower.
What?
The devil beating his wife, and then in parentheses it just says, yeah, like apparently that's really a thing. And the option is I don't really call it anything.
Raining while it's sunny out.
Yeah.
I don't really call it anything.
Great.
I don't, yeah.
That must be like
agreed.
a
I don't think
very-
I've ever said sun shower before.
I haven't either. Like I get it in context, but I don't think I've ever like used
Raining
that.
while it's sunny out.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know that I'd call it a thing. Agreed. I'm the third one.
I have pointed it out plenty of times. I've been like, hey,
I would
it's super
describe it
weird.
that way.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
be like,
Yeah.
it's raining while it's sunny.
Sun shower? That sounds weird.
Okay,
That
this-
sounds better than the devil beating his wife.
But that's
the
why
devil
I think,
has
like,
a wife?
Right.
That's a very
right.
specific thing, apparently.
That's not something
I want to
I've
know
ever
what
heard.
region that is.
Yeah, I want to know who his wife is.
All right.
Okay. Again, only a couple more. This one's fun. That little bug that can fold into a ball. Everybody calls it something.
Roly-poly.
Roly-poly.
You both call it roly-poly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's funny for me
What's the
because
other one?
there's there's roly-poly doodlebug, which I've never heard. Potato bug, which I have heard but never called it, and then there's pill bug, and
I've heard pill bug.
I've used pill bug before around like my grandpa, but usually
I've heard potato bug, but I didn't know that's what they were.
Yeah,
I've never heard of the others.
yeah, I've heard potato bug,
All
but
right.
I always called it a roly-poly.
Yeah, roly-poly
Same.
for sure.
Yeah.
Cute.
Okay, those other bugs that light up.
Fireflies.
Firefly.
Yeah. There's only 2 options for that. I think they call them lightning bugs in the South.
They do.
Yeah.
They do, but I don't. I did when I was a kid. That's
Sure.
when I switched.
Oh, yeah, okay.
When I was a kid, we all called them lightning bugs, and then when I got older, I heard someone say firefly, and I was like, that's fucking way cooler.
So much cooler.
Yeah. No, firefly is definitely cooler.
Okay, this one's a true or false, which is fun. Cot, C-O-T, and caught, C-A-U-G-H-T, are pronounced the same.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, of course.
I did say them the same, but
Caught. I guess there's a way you could get a little deeper with the vowel and say caught versus caught,
yeah.
like hot.
Right.
But if you're thinking about it,
No, caught, hot. Yeah, caught.
Caught.
yeah.
I got caught on the caught.
True.
Yeah. Okay, and last one. How would you pronounce R-O-U-T-E?
Context would make a difference for me.
It's like if you want to get there, you would take this.
Route.
Yeah,
Route.
great. Both of you say route?
Yeah, but if I went to Sonic and I ordered a 64-ounce drink, I would order a Route 44.
A Route 40. Oh, interesting.
I would say
Or a
route.
44-ounce, I guess. I wouldn't say a Route 44 a drink. I would say a Route 44 because that's what I think is what my parents called it.
Well,
And get your kicks on Route 66.
Route
not
66.
Route 66.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of dependent.
So it's
on
like
the
culturally,
jingle.
if someone has already assigned,
Jingle. Yeah.
if someone has culturally already assigned route to it, I'll say route. But like, which route do you think we should take? Fucking
Yeah.
route.
Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of like
100%.
it's like the debate of I don't know if you've had this debate before, but it's either pho or faux.
Yeah.
And if you ask,
For me, it's no.
if you ask somebody that's like, native, then they would most likely say pho.
Right.
But so many of the puns, because you go to a pho place and the name is usually some kind of pun. So many of them require you to say faux. So it's like, it's kind of like the debate.
That's fucked up.
But there's a restaurant called Pho King. So Pho King would just be lame.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
right?
not
Yeah.
funny.
So you just.
I
gotta
heard
have a-
once someone say faux, and then not long after I was introduced to it for the first time as a thing, someone was like, it's actually pho. And from that point on, I was like, oh, it's pho.
Yeah.
And I don't eat it either fucking way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm Asian. It's pho.
It's
Boom.
just noodles, basically.
So what's the result? Like what?
It says that you're
happened?
both probably from the West.
Oh.
Most of your answers were pretty similar. I think you only deviated on a couple things, but yeah. It says those
Okay.
bugs that light up in the summer, they're fireflies. Those small, delicious stone fruits, they're apricots. And that thing that happens when it's sunny and raining at the same time, well, you don't really call it anything. Yep, you're probably from the West, and if you're not, well, you better move there, baby, because that's where you truly belong.
Wow. Hello.
transition to where I'm supposed to be, motherfuckers.
Fuck yeah.
You know what's interesting about this is when I was a kid, obviously I grew up in Texas. Texas, these are the main places I was growing up. Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, very much in the South. I have not really had a Southern accent at any point in my life. And a big part of that is my mom. When I was growing up, my mom had, there's no other way to put it, shame associated with the idea of what we would call sounding country, which is a nice way of saying sounding like a hillbilly or sounding like a redneck. And there was no one in my family that was strong enough in their convictions to convince me, like, there's plenty of people in my life when I was growing up sound like this. But there's a lot of people. My grandma still has pretty thick Southern accent. There's plenty of people in most of my family sounds like this. No one was like, Why are you sounding like a city boy? Stop doing that. You're from the country. You need to sound like this. No one pulled me in that direction.
That's great.
And when my mom, well, maybe there's nothing wrong with sounding that way, but my mom was like, if I said can't instead of can't, no, she would.
No,
fix
I say
it
that's great, as in like they didn't care. Like either way, you could pick whatever.
Yeah, they didn't care, but my mom did. My mom was
Sure.
like, you're speaking incorrectly. You're not talking wrong. You're speaking incorrectly. She would correct my grammar. She would correct my pronunciation, and she would correct my diction, like my word choice. She would be like, don't call it that, call it this. And if you talk to my mom, you probably would hear a slight accent, but my mom doesn't have a thick Southern accent.
No.
And neither does my dad. They have a little bit of sound that you're like, they're not from New Jersey.
Your dad more than your mom.
But even my dad, I've listened to a lot of people in my life. My dad's brother, my Uncle Sidney, way more Southern sounding. You talk to my Uncle Larry, who's been in California for a long time, you wouldn't jump to he's from the South.
Right.
And so very much I was pulled away from having a Southern accent. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I watch a lot of fucking TV. And I was obsessed with voices. I loved doing impressions, doing voices. And most of the people I was doing impressions of weren't from the South. I remember I went to audition when I moved to Manhattan in high school. I was auditioning for a performing arts school. I'm auditioning for a guy who was not from the South. And I'm auditioning and he goes, all right, try your monologue in, just the first couple lines. I want to see if you can do some accents. And I was like, okay. And I can't remember the first one, and I tried it, and he was like, okay. He was like, now I want you to try a Southern drawl. And I'd never heard it called a drawl before. But I was like, in my head, I'm trying to do an impression of my granddad. I'm like, he lives on a farm. That's a Southern drawl. And I realized what he was really trying to do regionally was like Georgia. He was trying to get me to slow down and find the vowels and stretch them out. And I did it probably 3 or 4 times, and he kept correcting me. He kept being like, no, like a slow, like a Southern drawl. He's like, you're from Texas, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he's like, let me hear your Southern voice, boy. And I was like, I was like struggling to do a Southern accent at like 16, even though I'd grown up in the South my whole life. And it was because I hadn't practiced that. And my mom had pushed me out of it. And I was way more obsessed with the New York accents. I fucking love, and I'm still to this day obsessed with like Northeastern Italian, New Jersey. Like there's just something about it. Like it just like when I was a kid, I would watch My Cousin Vinny, and I was better at doing an impression of Joe Pesci than I was of everyone else in that movie who's in Alabama. I couldn't do it. I was like, I could do the judge a little bit because I thought he had such a fucking great voice. But I wasn't good at doing the Southern accent. I was from the South, and I was way better at being like, 2 Utes. Like it just, I don't know. It just like made sense to my mouth.
Which is super entertaining for me. I love it.
You notice sometimes I get heated, and it's like, why is this guy going to Brooklyn in his mind? Something he's very upset, and all of a sudden he's like, don't fucking tell me how to do this. I swear to God, I'm going to.
I love it.
Because when I was a kid, I thought, and this is not how I feel anymore, but when I was a kid, I thought the tough guys from the South sounded like fucking assholes. The people in the South who are like, listen, boy, you come over here, I'm going to slap it. I'll be like, oh my God, you sound like dumb and mean. But the assholes.
What a great combo.
But you're right. But my family. But from that's how I felt then. I don't still really think that. I'm like, that's just how they sound. But I thought the people who were mean, who had a Northeastern accent, sounded tough. I was like the Boston guy who's like, don't fucking tell me. Like, I thought Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro and these guys I saw in movies, I was like, that's scary. The guy's like, the fuck do you say to me? What the fuck come here and say that to my fucking face? I'm like, that guy's gonna fucking kill you. Yeah, I'm way more scared of that guy who's like, listen, boy, do. Like, I'm like, nah, fuck you. You sound dumb. You don't sound menacing because you sound stupid to me. And again, I don't feel this way now. I don't. And as a result, you can hear I've gone standard, like kind of general American. It's very
Yeah.
hard for people to piece out where I'm from.
I will say, if I didn't end up with you, I probably would have ended up with a British guy.
Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't want to be with a guy like this? You know what I mean? Like, wow, look at the space buns. Like, looking pretty nice. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you too. Man, I would have gone looking for a British chick. Who doesn't love that shit?
Yeah.
You were talking about sounding dumb and smart. Man, you can get away with being dumb as fuck with a British accent, and it's gonna be a while before people figure it out.
Yeah.
You sound smart. You just sound like you know what you're fucking talking about.
Definitely.
Unless you've got like a thick Cockney accent and you're saying really dumb shit. Like, wait, I don't understand. Like, what are you talking about? Go back. I've misunderstood.
Yeah.
And even that, you're like, well, he's just trying to figure it out. That's all. He's not
Right.
stupid. He's
Next
just on
time
his
we'll
way.
talk. We know we're late. We're late to this, but Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Maybe
Holy shit.
we'll talk about it when it gets closer to the third season coming out.
Okay. Sounds
And
So in
we'll
like 3 years?
Yeah. Well, they said it's coming out this
2030.
fall at some point. But when that gets announced and it gets close and as we anticipate it, because we watched it very late.
Yes.
And we just recently binged the whole show and had a
so
fucking blast.
good.
And talk about a great juxtaposition of Southern and British.
Oh
Just
my
like-
god.
Oh, yeah, that's
heads.
perfect.
Yes. That's why I
Man.
brought it up.
Yeah. Well, because you're so smart.
So smart.
Even though you're from the Valley and your accent gets judged for being dumb, just like my Southern accent gets judged. They hear it, and before they know what's going on, they're like, you're probably dumb.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
But we're not.
So smart.
So smart.
Thank you.
Love you, babe.
Love you. Thanks
It's
for
been
joining us,
fun.
everybody. And last thing, stay tuned to the channel and do us a favor. I never have ever asked any of you to like anything or subscribe, and I'm not going to start. But I will say, if you like our show, fuck the liking and subscribing. I don't care about that. Do whatever you want. But if you do like our show, tell somebody about it. In person. Share it with someone. Either send them the episode, send them a clip, send them a reel from the Instagram or the TikTok, and just tell somebody else, hey, I watched this show. I enjoy the show. And if you enjoy the new content that we put out with the other shows we're going to be producing, share that as well. It's a family over here of content and creation and making things. And we're just having fun, baby. Come have fun with us.
Sharing is caring.
Woo! See you in the next one.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Sharing is caring. It sounds like a
Fun.
threesome video over here. Yo, you watched a whole episode of We Are New, the best podcast with viewers in the double digits. I hope you enjoyed it. There's more episodes and clips available for you in these locations. So please click on them and watch them. Maybe you want to know more about us. Maybe you want to feel like you're our friends. Well, we're very selective about our friends in real life, but you can feel like you're our friend if you watch more of our content. Thank you.